Kia ora. Hello, my name is Bex. Welcome along to the RebeccaAnneKnits YouTube channel. This is my little spot on the internet where I love to chat about knitting, crocheting, spinning, fibre crafts basically. So thank you so much for joining me. If you're new, thank you. I'm so grateful that you found my little channel. And if you're returning, thank you so much for coming back for more. It's been a wee while since I've been here, and for no particular good reason, just because life is busy and I haven't prioritised making a new episode. But of course I have been knitting, so I have some things to show you today. And yeah, so let's get into it, shall we? For those of you who are new, I give a little intro. My name is Bex and I live in the Wellington region of New Zealand. I love to knit and crochet and spin. Those are my main fibre crafts, but occasionally I do other things as well. And I'm a mum to 3 daughters and I work as a midwife at our local hospital. So yeah, I have some finished objects to share with you today. I have some works in progress and I have probably some plans. I always have plans. Yeah, so thank you for joining me and feel free to like and subscribe to my channel if you enjoy the content that I have to share. Kia ora to anyone new joining me because of the Kurupiki Cacao from Lovely Day Knits. I know some of you have been looking for new YouTube channels to watch, so thank you if you've joined me from there. I'll talk about being part of that cow and my plans for that later on in the episode. So to start with, I guess I should talk about what I'm wearing. I can't for the life of me remember what the name of this sweater is off the top of my head, and I'm recording on my phone, so I can't look it up right now. I will try and remember to put it in the description box below, but if you have been here before, you know that putting stuff in the description box is not my favourite thing. So you can always find any details that I have on different garments or knits that I've been doing on my Ravelry page. I keep that pretty well updated. A link to that will be in the description box. But this is a colourwork yoked sweater, just a regular length. It's quite pilly because it's one of my older knits. And this is the first colourwork yoke I ever knit. I dove into it without thinking too hard about it, to be completely honest. And some of the floats are way too tight. It is a bit tight here across this armpit area. But it's totally wearable and I do really enjoy it. I use 2 different yarns. The dark chocolatey brown colour is an alpaca silk blend by Outlaw Yarns. It's a discontinued yarn. It was called Vanitas, and I brought that on a clearance when they were actually, like end of line, when it was nearly gone. So it pills ridiculously, but it is lovely to wear. And that's fine. I don't mind just razoring them off every so often. And when I wear it around home, I don't even bother. And for the contrast colour, I wanted to use something with a similar fibre content, but I didn't have a contrast colour in the same base. So this is Pearl Luster from Skeins, which I held double because the Vanitas was a DK weight, which is I think it is a merino, Surrey alpaca and silk blend, I think, from memory. And it was called Pearl Rose, I think, this colourway. I have no idea what the Vanitas colourway was, but it may be on my project page from Ravelry, but this is one of my more ancient knits. So I didn't keep as good notes then because I didn't have a good reason to. Yeah, so that's what I'm wearing today. It's spring here, but you wouldn't know it. It's a rainy, windy, grey, kind of in the mid-teens Celsius. I'm wearing this with nothing else under it, so it's not a multiple layer kind of day, but it's definitely not a t-shirt kind of day. Anyway, that is what it is. Also, it's so gloomy outside. I've had to put the overhead lights on, even though it's like middle of the day. So apologies if the lighting isn't as great as it could be. I'm very amateur at this, so you'll just have to take it as it comes. that's what I'm wearing. What have I finished? If you've been here before, you will know that I was working on a test knit pair of socks for Alana at Lupine Yarn store. Her design company is called BlackAnneKnits, and I was test knitting a pair of socks for her. This is the Black Cat favourite socks, and I finished these a wee while ago now, but I obviously haven't been here to show you. So these are beautiful toe-up socks. It's kind of Alana's perfect vanilla sock recipe. And its vanilla socks are relatively simple, but it's toe-up. She has some beautiful increases and decreases before the short row heel, just to help with the sizing there, which I have to say these fit really great. And then a 2x2 rib leg. Yeah, so they are really great. They fit really well. I've worn them once already, which is why they're not quite so perfect on these blockers, but I put them back on to show you. And the yarn is Plush Fingering from Mama Wooling. This is her Year of Socks sock club, so this was the colourway for September. And it's a main skein and a mini, so I use both of those for these socks. So that's my first finished object. If you've been here before, like I say, you know that I've been knitting Mama Willing's sock club up every month this year. Haven't failed yet. So this was September's colourway. So yeah, regardless, I've made different socks each month, but I'm using the sock club that I received that month and knitting it up into socks that month. I majority knit shorty socks, so those are quite a long leg for me, which I'm actually really enjoying. What else have I finished? I think I haven't recorded since before I went on holiday to Fiji, and I had lots of project ideas for while I was away, but what I ended up settling on and knitting the majority of the time I was in Fiji was my city dress by Tori Yu. Now, I started this last summer and got kind of a third of the way through it, and then put it down and went back to knitting woolly knits. So this is going to be hard to show because it's a whole dress. So if I'll try and find a photo of me wearing it and pop it in. It is a dress based on the City Top by Tori Yu. She has instructions in her pattern for making this as a top or as a dress. It's basically stockinette with rib details, and then it has this cool rib detail that goes down the side. That is where you do your increases and decreases for the waist shaping and hip shaping to make it into a dress size. And for this I used Sheepy's Woolly Woolette. Woolly Woolette, I think it's called. So it's a cotton and wool blend. I can't remember the proportion right off the top of my head. I think it might be 70-30. Can't remember. That's what the knitting for all of is. I think it's different from that. Anyway, it's wool and cotton, and really lovely to work with. I'm really happy with how this turned out. I think in hindsight I did slightly too many increases for the hips. I was a little bit nervous that it was going to be too form-fitting, but in my caution I've actually made it with positive ease rather than neutral ease, which is what I was going for. But the top sits beautifully, really, really nice. And there is a slightly, the only thing I'm disappointed about is there is a slightly strange jog in the colour here. See how there's that darker stripe through the middle? The fade goes beautifully at the bottom and beautifully from the top. And there's just this one kind of joggy bit that doesn't quite work. So I'm not quite sure what happened there. I did do some yarn management throughout because the gradient was, I wasn't going to get the full gradient in if I just knit the cake as it was, because it was a 1,000-meter cake at fingering weight, and I held it double. And because this pattern is actually written, I think, for fingering weight with like a 23 stitch gauge, 24 stitch gauge, but I did it on DK at a 20 or 22 stitch gauge. I can't remember exactly now. Look on my Ravelry page because it was so long ago that I started this. it's really nice. I haven't actually worn it out in the wild yet because it has not been summery enough weather. But it was great, although it's quite a big knit, it was great to work on holiday in the islands because it's majority cotton. And so it wasn't hot in my hands to work on. And it was basically stockinette in the round. Like I'd done all it's top down, so I'd done all the tricky parts. I was kind of at the waist, and then I just knit. I didn't actually get it finished while we were away, but I got it finished on a education day that I had to do. Once we came back, when I was back at work, it was like a sit and listen to lectures day, and I took this along and finished it. So I'm really happy with that finished object, and it's really nice to have cleared that off my needles because it's been a lingering whip for a very long time. Next up, what else do I want to talk about? I also finished this cowl. This was a new cast on and cast off since my last episode, I think. This was a test knit for Toriu, and it's called the Curiosity Cowl. Now mine is slightly modified because I did run out of yarn because I made this out of my own hand spun, which is pretty cool. This is the first hand spun I've made that has actually turned out good enough to knit up. So the natural colour in between is Hanui fibre, and the colourful one is a Corridel with nylon speckles. That's hand dyed by Handmaiden, and I have her monthly fibre club, and that was one of the colourways that came through for that. So yes, it's not quite as generous of a cowl as it's supposed to be because my yarn had very limited meterage, and I didn't realise quite how limited before I started because I've never measured my hand spun before because I'm so new at spinning. But anyway, probably would have worked better if I'd reversed the colour order because I had heaps of the colourful one left over and none of the natural. Anyway, so I'm not going to put it on because it's going to knock the microphone, but it's just a little cowl. I can pop a photo in of me wearing it. Yeah, it's really nice. It's not at all scratchy. I can wear it against skin no problem, which I was a little bit cautious about. I didn't know how comfortable it would be. But no, it's lovely against the skin, and it knit up relatively well considering that this was made by me. So anyway, even if I don't wear it a lot, it is something tangible that I have actually made with my first hand spun. So I finished that, and then my big finished object is my Batternburg blanket. So the last couple of episodes I have been talking about my Batternburg blanket. For those of you who are new, I will give you a little recap. This blanket I've been crocheting actually. I went to Woolfest, which is the biggest yarn festival in New Zealand, in Auckland in June this year. And from Alana from Lupine Yarn Store was doing a bit of a de-stash, and she was selling off a Hedgehog Fibres Christmas Advent from a couple of years ago. And it was still pricey, but it was a lot more affordable than what it is to get a Hedgehog Fibres Advent from Ireland. It's just like ridiculously expensive and just completely out of my price range to do that. So I was like, okay, this is my whole budget for the day, but I'm going to drop it on this one thing because I just think this is just such a cool opportunity. So I brought that, and then I was like, what am I going to make with it? Because if you know Hedgehog Fibres at all, you know that their colours are very vibrant, highly variegated, and I had 24 mini skeins. So it wasn't really going to be, and the Advent is a potluck Advent, so it's not a cohesive fade, it's not anything like a collated grouping, it's just potluck. So I thought, well, what better to do with it than a blanket? And I already had a knit blanket on the needles, and I've already knit a blanket previously, so I was like, let's do a crochet one. I'd been eyeing up the Batternburg blanket, which I'd seen on Knitty Natty's channel. She was doing one, you know, on there, and I was like, wow, I love that. It looks great. So that's what I decided to do. So the Batternburg blanket originally holds the fingering weight single, but I actually held mine double, and I was able to make 4 squares out of each mini skein. It's gonna be impossible to hold up, but I'll put in a photo. So I have made this lovely, like, lap-sized blanket with all of the mini skeins. And for my solid colour, I used a cone of merino that I got from the Wool Yarns cone sale. We have a factory in Mill here in the Hutt Valley where I live, and they make clothing, ready-to-wear clothing, with wool and wool possum blends mainly. And once a year they have a remnant sale, and they sell off all the cones of yarn that are end of lines or that they're not going to use, or they've stopped producing clothing with those colours, and they sell them off on these big cones. So I had a giant cone of this cream, and so I used that for my other squares, and it was a bit heavier than the hedgehog fibres, which is quite a light fingering. So the colourful squares have 3 rounds of double crochet to create them, and the cream squares have 2 rounds of double crochet and then a half double crochet round to finish off, to make them more similar in size. So you can see that's worked out pretty great. It's a solid granny square, and yeah, it's just so fun. But also just having that cream interspersed all through it just makes it feel slightly less chaotic, in my mind anyway. I made all the squares individually and then sewed them together, which was its own labour and love in itself. And then I did plan to do a larger border, but for the moment it just has a single crochet around the outside. I may add a more generous border to it at some point, but I was ready for this project to be done. And so I just did a crochet around the edges just to make it look finished. And yeah, maybe at some point I will add to it, but I don't think it actually needs it, to be completely honest. The size is lovely for sitting here on my knitting chair with it on my lap on the cozy days, just doing my knitting, on the sofa while I'm watching Netflix and doing my knitting. My children love it. They tried to steal it for their bed already. I said, no, this is my blanket. So yes, that is my crochet Batternburg blanket finished. And I would totally make another one. I really enjoyed the process. I really enjoyed the portability of just being able to have a mini skein and a crochet hook with me, and I could crochet out 4 squares. You needed so little materials to do it, and by the time I finished the blanket, I was able to crochet one of those squares in about 6 minutes. So you felt like you were making progress really, really quickly, and it has almost 200 squares in the total blanket. So it was really, really enjoyable, and a great thing to do with Advent skeins. If you have leftover Advents or heaps of mini skeins or scraps or leftovers, such a beautiful thing to do with them. And if you disperse it with a natural like that, like a solid neutral colour, it just blends like it was meant to be, right, when they're actually so variegated and crazy. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. Grateful to have it finished, because it was a really big project, but yeah, really, really happy with the outcome. So I think that, where's my notes gone, guys? I haven't done this in so long, I had to write myself some notes. Oh, they're falling right down the side. There we go. Is that everything I've knit? Oh, the only other thing I have knit, which I don't have to hand, I have 2 other things to talk about that I don't have to hand, but I do have knit since I talked to you last. I've knit 3 pairs of socks for my daughters. It's Socktober after all. So I got them to pick out some mini skeins from my stash and knit them each a pair of socks. They've already claimed those socks and started wearing them. They are already looking worse for wear, because they wear them inside their shoes to school and they just love them, and I'm fine with that. Just use them, wear them, enjoy them. If they wear out, all good, we'll throw them away and make a new pair. I make socks all the time. It's no hassle to me. So I'll put in a photo of my 3 daughters wearing their 3 pairs of socks. And I think I used yarn from Mama Wooling, yarn from Strawberry Patches, yarn from Skein Yarn, who's an Australian yarn dyer. Yep, I think that's with everyone who was in there. Maybe some others, I don't know. they were mini skeins from my stash. They're not labelled, so they were what they were. Oh, Dreamfire Artesian Yarns, I think, was in there too. So I'll put in a photo of that. And I also made a little vest, pullover, no, slipover type top for my new baby niece. She was born in June as well, and my sister requested a slightly bigger vest top because she's been wearing those really frequently over her little grow suits, so I made one of those. And my sister asked for something that wasn't pink or purple because they have heaps of pink or purple, so I made it in a lovely soft sage green, which was yarn from Skeins. It was their Chatswood range, and it was called York. I think it was a special edition colour, and I had a couple of balls of that hanging around, so I used that to make a little vest for my niece Lila. I'll pop in a photo of the vest. And I think that is everything that I've finished since I talked to you last. So many hours went into that blanket and also into that dress. Like, it's just a lot of knitting. And of course there's been lots of socks as well. So to be honest, for the amount of time I've been away, I don't feel like I have a lot to show, but it is what it is, and that's what I've been knitting on. Oh my gosh, I'm out of breath. I'm really rusty. Bear with me, please. So what am I working on now that these projects have all finished? I'm working on another blanket. I am working on some socks for October and another test knit and a camisole. So we'll have a little chat about those, shall we? My next blanket, I have talked about this on the podcast before. I'm keeping this in my giant patchwork hokey locally bag because this is the only thing I have big enough. This is again another mini skein blanket. This time I'm using the Winter Advent mini skeins by Mama Wooling. And I am holding them with this brushed merino yarn from Ashford's. It's like 350 meters to 100 grams, but it's a brushed merino. And it's a DK weight. You can see it's actually got quite a lot of chunk and fluff to it. This is a test knit for the Crayabaya. She is releasing this blanket at Christmas time, and it's designed. It's made out of waves, basically. It's going to be easier to see in a photo, so I'll put in a photo. But basically, there's different sizes of these waves that you can make, different stitch counts for different widths, and then different yardages for the lengths to make different size blankets. I am doing the baby-sized blanket in terms of the stitch counts and the meterage, but instead of just holding, it's supposed to be for DK weight, but I am holding fingering weight with the DK weight to get this kind of like, I don't know, I guess it's close to 10 or 12 ply weight, like Aran kind of. I'm using 5mm needles and marling the white with the mini skeins. And so I'm just doing them 12 repeats long because that's as long as my mini skein allows. That's about 80 meters. And basically there is a join as you go method, there's a crochet join method, and there's then just sew them together method. And again, I love the portability of this. So we're just going to sew them all together at the end, or crochet them together maybe. I'll see how I feel. Yeah, so I'm working away at this. It was a really long test knit period, and I haven't prioritized this much prior to now because I've been working on the Batternburg. But I'll hold up each of the ones that I've done so far. I think I'm up to 9 or 10. There's 3, 4, there's some neutral ones in there. There's some colourful ones in here already. Nice teal. There's a golden colour. Pink. Purple. Yeah, so there's a lovely array and change with this mini skein set. Some beautiful saturated deep bold tones. This was based on jewels, like gemstones, precious gems. And then there's some lovely pastels and pale neutrals. So that's how many I have made so far. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 so far, and 9 is actually the amount called for the baby sized blanket in the Cray Babe pattern. So I could sew these all together and call it done in terms of test knit obligation, but I am going to continue and make the rest of them. Though it kind of is weighing on my mind quite a lot that there's a lot to go because there's 24 mini skeins, and I've only not even done half. But at this size, it's not going to be a very functional blanket for me or my family, so I would like to keep going. It is bigger than the baby size blanket because I've used a heavier weight of yarn and a bigger needle than is called for, so it has made those mini skeins go further. But yeah, I'd like to just keep going, but I'm really stoked that I know in my mind at whatever point I get to by the end of the test knit period, I can stop, sew it together and call it done, and then just keep adding to it in my own time because I've met the threshold of what I signed up to do. So I have 9 done, and can I show you? I mean, this bag's a little bit of a chaos because there's all sorts of other things, glasses case, breakfast drink, all sorts of things that have ended up in here. And it's jingling away because my mum gave me this beautiful little sheep charm with a little bell on it, and it used to belong to my nana, who passed away last year and was an avid knitter. And one of my daughters made me this little knit beaded charm recently, so I've got those on there because they go together so lovely, but it does jingle, which is kind of irritating, but I'm just going with it. I love it. Anyway, I was showing you the mini skeins. I think it's going to be easier if I pull them out. So there's quite a lot of blues here that I haven't done yet. What's that? That's an end. This is about how much I'm having left from each mini skein. Not enough to do another whole repeat. So, but there is a little bit left. So if you have a mini skein, definitely got enough to do it. And you can just kind of stop at each point. It's like a 20-row repeat that you zig and zag. And so you can kind of just go as many zigzags as you have yarn for. Some people are doing much wider, longer zigs and zigzags, waves, whatever they're going to be called. And other people are doing more smaller ones like I am. So we've got some greens, some blues, some more pinky colours still to come. I've got some that I've wound up, a gold, a green, kind of a fuchsia. There's like a rusty orange one that's going to be next. There's this pretty sea glass kind of colour. Is that all of them? Yeah. So yeah, still lots to make. Like in actual knitting time, I timed myself making a couple of them, and it took me about 10 minutes per 20 rows, which means that I should be able to finish a 12 repeat in 120 minutes, which is 2 hours. I have not achieved one of those zigzags in 2 hours yet. It takes me more like 3 to 4 because I get bored. To be honest, I find them really boring to knit, which is kind of sad. It should just be fun and, mindless, which it is. It's really simple. I think it's just the frequent turning. I find it much harder to be in a rhythm. You just back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and then change your increase and decrease rate, back and forth and back and forth, and just on 14 stitches, it's just I had a much smoother rhythm when I'm knitting, just stocking it in the round. I can just go forever and ever and ever. Back and forth on 14 stitches is not as smooth going for me, but that's okay. It doesn't really matter how long it takes me. I can enjoy the process. And now that I've finished enough to call the test knit done if I needed to, I can just work away at it as and when I want. I don't have to like force myself to make them. which is great. Yeah, so that is my huli blanket. I believe the test knit is running up until like Christmas week, and so I think it will be out around the festive period. So another great mini skein option if you like making blankets and you want something mindless. Lots of people are really enjoying making the stripes. I am not so much, but that's okay. My other most recent whip is another test knit for the Cray Bear, because why not? For her Advent and charity patterns this year, she is doing a variation of her Kintra pattern, which I test knit for her last Christmas period, like November, December. It's a 1x1 colour work. If you were here with me a year ago when I was doing that test knit, you will know that it turned out stunning. I made a summer version in an alpaca linen blend yarn from Myro Yarns, who's a local hand dyer. It was beautiful tonal pinks, and I wore it and I loved it, and I didn't photograph it before I wore it, and then it ended up in the washing machine after a camping trip, thank you to my husband, and shrunk and felted, which is really sad because it was a linen and alpaca blend. It didn't felt beyond wearability. I can still wear it, but it is a lot more cropped than it was intended to be. And the fabric is much more dense. Rather than being light and airy, it is dense and cropped. So I'm yet to find the perfect outfit pairing to make that top work. It is still wearable with the right things, not with what I intended to wear with. So anyway, that's my history with Kintra. So I signed up to do, she's doing accessories this year for her charity knits. She's doing a bag, a hot water bottle cover, and a shawl scarf. I got picked for the test knit for the bag. So this is what I have started doing. So it is a project bag, essentially. And you do this rectangle to begin with that is double knit. It's DK weight. And I used this beautiful heathered yarn from Skeins. This is called Highland Heathers. And this colorway is called, I don't remember. But anyway, it's like black essentially, but with rainbow colors throughout it. And I chose to use that. This is actually a sport weight, so like 300 meters to 100 grams. So I chose to hold it double to knit the double knit base, because I thought I'd rather the base be extra thick and dense fabric than a little bit light and airy fabric. So I did that, and then you pick up all the way around the edges, and you do a couple of rows in your main color, and then you start the color work. And so this is the Kintra color work. It's just 1x1, and you can use up to 24 colors. So again, it's designed that you can use it with a, I don't know how the colors are showing there, with an Advent set if you wanted to. I'm not doing that. I'm just doing a repeat of 1, 2, 3, 4 colors, 5 colors, 5 colors. Oh, that's much easier to show it like this. So there is a blue, a purple, a pink, a tealy green, and a gold. And then this is my main color in the center here. I have them in this beautiful yarn bowl that was made for me by my bestie's husband. He is Walker's Wood Turning, if you want to look him up. Makes beautiful things. Native New Zealand timber, handcrafted yarn bowl. And yeah, so I've started the colour work. I've done through the first repeat of the colours there. The lighting is really not great, sorry. Can't see where you can see it. I think I do 3 repeats through the colour work, about 36 rows or something of colour work, and then I haven't actually read ahead to see how the bag is shaped at the top, but I have a feeling it's like an I-cord drawstring sort of situation, something like that. So yeah, it's really fun. Took quite a lot of knitting to get through the double knit base, but it feels really thick and robust, like it's going to be a good structure. Yeah, and so I've just picked these colours that go beautifully with the colours that are highlighted in the base yarn. And for the colours, I am using Black Pearl from Skeins. This was a limited edition that they put out recently, and I brought a couple of balls of each colour to do a colourwork yoke. I have a plan for that, but when this came up, I was like, oh, I can afford to use like half a ball of each colour to do this, and then I'll still have a ball and a half to do my colourwork yoke, which I think will be fine. Black Pearl, and this is a recycled blend of merino and alpaca. 113 meters to 50 grams. It's a lovely, smooth, round construction. It's a worsted spun yarn. Yeah, and it's a hand wash. It's not super wash, so that makes it perfect for the colour work. Though it feels just lovely, like absolutely next to skin soft. Yeah, so I am using that to make my kincher bag, which I am really enjoying. It takes, like, I'm not very quick at colour work. I'm quite slow in terms of, I do two-handed colour work, and my continental hand, my left hand, which I knit continental majority of the time, is fast, and my English style throwing is very slow because I literally have to pick it up, wrap it around, drop it. Like I can't flick and I can't do it quickly, English style with my right hand. So I just have to settle in and embrace the slowness. And my tension's turning out beautiful. The only thing that I'm doing to assist my tension is by flipping the bag inside out so that my floats are on the outside, and my work is on the inside. So you can still follow your pattern perfectly fine, but with your floats on the outside while you work, they just travel that tiny bit further than they do on the inside, and so they naturally sit with a slightly better tension. At least for me, that works really well. And you know, you can just see I've got it like this with the floats on the outside, and then I just flip it back on the inside, and I'm done. I do this for colourwork socks as well. Really helps with colourwork socks. And that's kind of where I learned it from. I was going to say something else. Oh, and I've gone up half a needle size. So it's written for a 20 stitch gauge on a 4mm needle. I'm using a 4.5 for the colourwork. And I used just a 4 for the double knit. Yeah. Oh, so that is my kincher bag. And oh, I left them on the bed. 1 second. I'll show you my October socks. This is my October socks. My mama willing, even though I've made 3 pairs of socks already for October for my daughters, of course I have to actually knit my October colorway. So this is my mama willing sock club for October. I can put in a photo of what the skein looked like before I wound it. It came with like a bright purple mini, and it's called Trick or Treat because Halloween is in October. I am not a Halloween girly. I don't celebrate Halloween. I don't really involve myself with Halloween because it just doesn't follow my beliefs. And so I didn't really want a Halloween vibed sock. So I have traded in the mini for this beautiful peachy pink one, which is also by Mama Willing, and just given it a spring vibe instead, which you can always do. Change up your knitting. Just because the yarn is named something doesn't mean you have to go along with that. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'll try and give you a close-up because I'm doing this beautiful butterfly textured stitch on these socks, which I think is just so pretty. This is a pattern by the Crazy Sock Lady, and though I'm sure if you googled butterfly stitch you could probably find instructions on how to knit it without purchasing the pattern, but I did purchase the pattern in one of her sales previously and have never knit them up, so I thought now is the time. It's got this beautiful like knit pearl texture with these little butterflies, which are really simple to create. I've done just my standard cheddar wrap heel, and yeah, I did 3 butterfly repeats on the leg with 20 rows of 2x2 rib with the mini. And then I'll do the toe in the mini as well as my plan. So I've just done a very little bit of the foot so far. Yeah, I'm in the middle of a row. Not helpful because I was at spinning group this morning and I looked up and saw the time and I was like, oh, I need to go so I can get time and actually have time to make my podcast. Because I was going to record yesterday, but I sat in my spa pool and started knitting on these socks and completely lost track of time and did not leave myself enough time to film. So I had to make sure it happened today. So yeah, so this is just the first one, but I will get this done in the next couple of days probably. It's really addictive doing this like little lovely texture, and even quicker now that I'm just doing it on the top of the foot. The sole is just plain stockinette. So yeah, there you go. That's what the yarn looks like in just in stockinette. If you want to see it, really pretty. And not at all Halloweeny unless you have it in that context in your mind. So that's fine by me. No shade to anyone who celebrates Halloween. Absolutely go for it if that's your vibe. It's just not my vibe. So I'm doing my own thing. And if you know anything about me and RebeccaAnneKnits, you know that adding pink to anything is always a bonus and a plus. And I will do it regardless because I love pink. Pink is most definitely my favourite colour. That's my October socks. And do I have anything else on the needles? My only other active whip, which was an impulse cast on because I've been doing a lot of flat knitting. I've been knitting that cowl flat, knitting the blanket stripes flat, and I was sick of flat knitting. I wanted to knit in the round, and I didn't have any projects on my needles other than socks that were in the round, and I didn't want to do the socks because they were such a tiny gauge. And I'd recently made my first ever purchase of knitting for olive yarn, and it was burning a hole in my mind that I just wanted to cast on my knitting for olive. So I cast on just a ripple cami. I watched Tash from what's her channel called? Mostly Knitting. And she's in Oz, and she's been knitting heaps of ripple camis recently by Jessie Made Designs, just with single skeins of different stuff from her stash. And I have that pattern and I've made it before, and I was like, that's a great idea. So let's make a ripple camisole with my knitting for olive. So I'm a couple of years late on the trend, but I finally got myself some knitting for olive dusty artichoke. No, is that what it's called? I think it is. Something like that. Why has it just left my brain? Anyway, it's this viral green colour that was so popular a couple of summers ago. I got myself some of that. This is the merino cotton. I got on here, fluff from my jumper. And yeah, it is dusty artichoke. I'm questioning myself, but I'm pretty certain that's what it is. So I'm using 2 strands, 2 balls held together because this is a really light fingering. It's 250 meters to 50 grams. And although the ripple camisole and the ripple bralette are actually written at a fingering weight gauge, the ripple camisole does have instructions in it on how to modify to use a DK weight. So that is what I am doing. And it's just a 3x3 rib bottom up to start with. So that's what I am doing. There's a mistake there, so I'll show you the other side. And my rib is a bit nicer. I'm doing half twisted rib because it's the easiest way that I can rib. I'm quickest at this, so I might flip it in the other way. I might not. Undecided yet. So I'm just knitting up and up until I hit the measurement that I want to the underarm. To be honest, I cast this on and had a bit of a binge on it for a couple of days and then have not really picked it up again since then because it was really just an impulse cast on and I desperately just wanted to try out the yarn, which is so soft, by the way. It does not feel cottony. Well, I guess it does, but it's really lovely to work with. It's not hard on my hands or anything like that. Feels very similar to what I knit my dress out of, which was also a wool cotton blend, but a different brand. Yeah, it feels quite similar to that, but maybe a little bit softer and silkier. Yeah, it's lovely. Like absolute no itch factor, but a little bit of wool in it, which is really nice because it should have a little bit of memory, you know, whereas cotton just doesn't, and it can just like stretch and drop. Hopefully this will have a little bit of memory, and being knit and rib, hopefully that will work out well. So that's just kind of a little aside when I need just something small in the round, but not a sock, but kind of not something big. I don't know how quickly I'll work on this, but summer is coming, but it is not here yet, so there's no rush, so I'll just work on it when I want. So that is all my active whips. That is all my FOs. I have 2 whips, which if you've been, 3 whips, that if you've been here before you will know about, but you haven't seen recently. I have a pressed flowers cardigan that I started for the Kiwi Make Along, which is still in hibernation. I honestly haven't knit on it at all since I talked to you last. It will be coming back. I am determined to finish that before the end of the year. So as soon as I've maybe got the blanket off my needles, I think that's the one that I would probably, the blanket or the Kintra. Once I've completed one of those, I will get the pressed flowers cardigan back in rotation. I am so excited to have that cardigan. I got up to the underarm split, so I still need to do the 2 fronts, the back, and the sleeves. So it's still got quite a lot to go. I also have a night shift shawl by Angela Moundry, which I'm knitting out of Skeins Pulse yarn, which is kind of like a spin cycle dupe. I love, and it's still only maybe a third of the way knit. It's absolutely stunning, but again, it got put on the back burner when I started doing the Batternburg, and it just hasn't been prioritized because it was just and I keep picking up testknits, guys, and then I have to dump everything else to like use all my knitting time to do the testknits. So I should just stop doing testknits, really, but they're fun. They're fun, and I love the engagement that I get with the knitting community, and kind of some designers kind of knowing who you are and appreciating your work, and I just love being part of the community in that way. And even though my YouTube channel is still really, really tiny and I only have 200 or 300 subscribers, and it's not really getting out there in the world as much as I would love it to, having some connections in the international knitting community is just so cool, and I just love it. So I'll probably keep doing testknits, especially for the Crate Bear, even though it kind of steals me away from the other things that I plan to knit. It's fine. It's my craft. I can do with it what I like. And my other one is my Stella quilt blanket, which I started a long time ago, and I've only made 3 out of 9 squares for that. So I definitely would like to get that finished as well, but it won't get done this year. That one will hopefully be my only carryover into 2026. I would love to finish the night shift shawl and the pressed flowers, along with everything that's on the needles now. Also, I'm going to cast on something for the cowl that I mentioned at the start of the episode, which Alicia from Lovely Day Knits is running a Kuravakika cowl knit along. And I am probably just going to do one of her singlet tops, either the Sailor Swift or the Wavy Babe or something like that. One of the like camisole tops, because we're coming into summer here and I don't have the capacity to put another big sweater on my needles. Also, most of the ones that I really like are in her books, not available online. I don't have any of her books. That would be lovely, wouldn't it? Maybe that can go on a Christmas list. I could have a Kika book. Yeah. And everyone loves the Salty Days, and the Salty Days is beautiful, but it's not what I want to knit right now. So yeah, I'm going to make a single top for that cowl. Also, that's a small project that I should be able to get done before the end of the year as well, which the cowl's running from 1st of November to 31st December. And I will probably use some of the other yarn that I ordered from Knitting for Olive. I got some more t-shirt and singlet quantities of the merino cotton. And I also got a couple in 100% silk. And I got some mohair as well, but I guess mohair is not really appropriate for a summer cami. So yeah, I will probably use that. Or I did purchase a skein this week on a D-stash that's made by Skein Yarns, who's an Australian yarn dyer, who's in collaboration with Alicia on this knit along. And if you use skein yarn in your project, you can actually get a double entry into the prizes, and I like their prizes. They give a Kika Books a prize, and so it's a beautiful Babylon leather handbag. I mean, dreams, make my own leather handbag. How great would that be? So jelly of all the YouTubers out there who have enough engagement and with their channel that they get given free stuff. Dreams are free. I'll just keep talking to my phone and sharing with you what I've been knitting and not worry about it. What's the other gift? I think, a Skein Yarn gift voucher. Yeah, so really, really cool prizes for that knit along. So I will definitely make something. Most likely a camisole. Most likely a knitting for Olive. Or, if it seems appropriate, this one skein that I've got coming from a D-stash, potentially. Okay, I think that's about everything. That is 50 minutes of talking. I should have known it would be a long one since I haven't been here for so long and I just get chatty. Sorry. Have I got anything else I wanted to say? My only plans are that knit along. My plans are to finish all my whips. My plans are to get the stuff on my needles, off my needles before the end of the year. It's the 13th of October today, so it's coming in quickly. Yeah. Get the press rails back on the needles. Get the shifty back on the needles once I've cleared some of the things that I'm already doing. I don't think the Kintra bag will take me that much longer to knit. I should have that done in about another week, and then I can get something else back on the needles. I do need to make some gift knits. I love to gift my kids' school teachers something hand knit for Christmas each year. So I'm thinking there's 2 female teachers and 1 male teacher this year. So I'm thinking a beanie for the male teacher and some fingerless gloves for the female teachers. So my kids are on a mission to find out their teacher's favourite colours so that I can knit them something. Just a little something. I just feel like they invest so much time and energy into my children that I don't just want to buy them chocolates or wine. Maybe they'll get chocolates and wine as well, but just something with a little bit of thought and time into it would be really nice. So that's a plan coming up. And also I've had a plan for a long time, and this was one of my plans to take to Fiji that I did take but never got onto because the dress just took all the knitting time I had, is to make a ranunculus, a short sleeve ranunculus out of a single strand of mohair. So I would love to do that sometime soon over the summer. Maybe it won't be before the end of the year. I had this beautiful hot pink mohair silk from Dark Harbour Yarns, who's a very local to me hand dyer, and it's called So Pink, and that's exactly what it is, so pink. And yeah, I want to make a single strand of lace mohair ranunculus, and I'm going to wear it over a camisole that I made last summer in Dark Harbour yarn. That's hot pink as well, maybe a slightly darker shade. And so I want to wear it as like a set. I planned to make it last summer, and did I get around to it? No, I didn't. But I would love to do that because that would be really nice to wear at the beginning of summer as it's starting to warm up, and also at the end of summer when it's starting to cool down, just to have that light, airy, ethereal mohair layer over a cami. I love that, so I want to try and do that as well. Yeah, I did this huge knitting for Olive order because you only get one chance to get free shipping. For your first order from Knitting for Olive's website, you get your shipping for free, and when it's coming from the other side of the world, you got to make the most of it. So, and I had a bit of a bonus come in from my first year of practice midwifery training. They give me, they pay me for doing some of the education stuff that I have to do. It's a requirement, but it's paid, and I get that in kind of a lump sum. So I kind of had some spending money, and so I spent it all on Knitting for Olive. My only regret with that order is that I didn't actually end up getting a merino and mohair silk combo to knit together, because I'm like, I can actually buy much more affordable merino in New Zealand because we have so much beautiful merino here, that I was like, I don't really want to pay for Scandinavian merino when I want to get the things that I can't get here the same. But now I can't knit anything in that like super, yeah, that combo that everyone loves, the knitting for olive, fine merino and kid silk. So yeah, I might have to find a way to get a couple of balls of merino that match one of the colours I've already brought, or I don't know. I'll work on that for the next time. Maybe if they have some kind of sale at some point, I'll splash out. But I'm toying with the idea, because my stash is huge, of committing to 2026 being the year that I only buy yarn in person. I cannot commit to a no yarn buying year. It's just not in me, and it's not necessary. I have enough yarn to probably knit for the next 5 to 10 years without needing to buy anything. But I want to buy things, and I want to support our fibre community and our local hand dyers and our local mills, and the wool industry needs our support. I don't want to like draw back completely. But what I was thinking was maybe just to like rein it in a bit. Maybe I could commit to no online shopping for yarn next year. Maybe 2026 could be the year of in-person yarn buying. For some reason, I tend to be way more reserved at what I buy in person than I am online. And there's so many less opportunities. There's our local yarn festival, which is in May each year. We do have a craft store in Upper Hutt, which is the town I live in, but has crap quality, like selection of yarn, and it's overpriced. I don't ever buy my yarn there. But there is a new yarn store in Lower Hutt, which is not too far from me, which Holland Road Yarn has beautiful things. So I could go there if I really needed a yarn fix. I could shop my stash if I needed a yarn fix. And it means that I can still go to the knitting events, the little pop-ups, the yarn festivals, and still purchase at those, but not all year. So I'm contemplating that. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think I could do it? Do you think I could commit to in-person only yarn shopping next year? I think it would be really good for me. I also think it will be really, really hard. But I have so many yarns in my stash that I'm so excited to knit up. And so many projects planned. Like I did a whole video a year ago, like at the beginning of the year, of my plans from stash for this year. And literally the Press Flowers cardigan is the only thing that's made it to my needles off that list. In every single project on that list, I still have the yarn and stash for it, and I still really want to knit. And I could make another whole video with yarns from stash in projects that I want to knit. There's probably 50 sweaters. maybe not quite. Yeah, at a pinch, there probably is 50 sweaters there that I could knit, and that I have plans for, and that I have yarn for, and that I have love for. So I really don't need more. But let me know. Let me know what you think. Yarn doesn't go off, right? It doesn't go off unless the moths get to it, and I'm very careful about not letting the moths get to it. So we'll see. I got to work on that. Let me know in the comments below if you think I can do it, or whether you've got any other suggestions for how I can be more responsible. And yeah, I don't feel like I'm wasteful. I don't spend money I don't have, and I don't my yarn doesn't go off. It's not a consumable that's gone. So it's still there for me. It's just getting probably to the level that I should use it and not just keep adding. Anyway, enough talk about that. That's where I'm going to leave it today, because we've been talking for a whole hour and I've got other things I need to do, and I need to get this edited and up so you can actually watch it. Thank you so much if you've joined me today and listened to me ramble about my knitting. I have been spinning as well. I'll just tell you about that. I'm part of the local knitting guild now, and I do most of my spinning on a Tuesday morning when I go to the knitting guild. I have, apart from the one that I already knit up, I'm working on my next spin at the moment. It's gorgeous. And I've got a photo that I can put in that I took today of my little petite spinning wheel that I have at the club, and the yarn the fibre that I'm spinning up. The first one is a blend from that I brought at Get Flocked a couple of years ago. That's the pink fly, and then I'm doing a Starcrest Farms Polworth silk blend for the second ply in a natural shade. Oh, it's just amazing. So much fun. And then at home, I'm spinning on my Fibre Club from Handmaiden, which I haven't really made much progress on since I finished the one that I used in this. I've got it on the wheel, but barely started. So I'll share that one with you next time, maybe. If I've actually made some progress on it. I'm really hoping to be back here a bit more regularly. So please, if you would consider subscribing to my channel or liking this video or leaving a comment, just to try and get it out there a little bit, and I would really appreciate that. Feel free to share with your friends, or engage me with engage with me in the comments. Send me a message over on Instagram. I'm RebeccaAnneKnits here on YouTube, on Instagram, and on Ravelry, so you can find me everywhere with the same name. And I'd just love to have some more chats, some more engagements, some more conversations, make some more knitty friends. So feel free to join me, and thank you again for being here. I'll see you whenever the next time is that I get here, but hopefully just in a couple of weeks. Okay, catch you later. Take care.